Okay, the next one, Kantianism or Kant's theory. It talks about the goodwill and also the duty. So Kantianism talk about the goodwill. So goodwill is you deserve to do the right things, and that means it's your duty. Okay, it's your duty to do the right things. It doesn't care about the goodwill. It doesn't care about your personal interest. It doesn't care about you love it or not. It's your duty to do the good things. It's your goodwill. So goodwill and duty, they are the same thing in Kant's theory. So here we have one example to explain. Suppose that I win the Mass 6 and I wonder what to do with the money. So I have two choices. The first one, of course, is most fun to do. Okay, so I will buy anything I want. For example, you love the car and then you buy the car. You love the fat and then or you love the house, you buy the fat or house, etc. Okay, because I think those kind of things is fun. Okay, because I think those kind of things is fun. For example, I enjoy the luxury. I enjoy the traveling in the first class. I want the world. I enjoy to go to a high class restaurant and then I enjoy a good meal, etc. Another thing is I also want to feel fun and then give the money to the charity. Okay, to enjoy these special feelings and that special feeling to make the other people feel happy. So according to Kant's theory, which one is morally worthy? I guess most of you guys will find that the second actions that give all the money to the charity and make the other people happy is more morally wealthy, right? But according to the Kant's theory, I'm not a morally wealthy person because I did this. After all, I just did wherever it is you buy a house or you buy a flat or you buy a car or you give all the money to the charity. If you consider something about fun, okay, and make you happy, consider something about fun and then make you happy. According to Kant's theory, you are not morally worthy. So if you think that giving away the money was fun, then I'm sorry, it's not the case. It's not morally worthy in Kant's theory. Moral worthy only comes when you do something because you know that is your duty. Duty here, there is your duty. And there is nothing related to fun. Okay, nothing related to fun. It's all about your duty. So another things about the Kant's theory. So yes, it's about the consequence, and then we use another example to explain. So suppose that there are two peoples. They go together and then drinking at a bar. Both of them are drunk. Okay, and then they decide to drive back to the home. So one of them is very lucky. So there are no ones on the road. And then another thing is not lucky, another one is not lucky. So someone is walking the line and killed by his car. So according to this case, which one is more worthy? So here we want to introduce another thing is about the luck. Okay, it's about the luck. According to Kant's theory, they will not consider about the luck. Okay, so according to Kant's theory, both of them are drunk and then both of them are equally bad. So in fact, one the person got lucky does not make them any better than the other drunk. So after all, they both make the same choice, and nothing within either one's control had anything to do with the difference in another actions. The same reasoning applies to the people who ask for the right reason. So somehow the Kant theory concerns about the aim, or we say it the primary actions. So they do not concern the luck or the consequence. So if both people act for the right reason, then both are morally worthy, even if the actions or one of them happens to a bad consequence by bad luck. Okay, so he's still morally worthy. So another case to explain more. So suppose you are a master winner, and then you find that it's a duty to help the other people is your goodwill. So you donate the money to the remote village, okay, to the remote village, and then help the children. You buy the food and then help the children. The food arrived, okay, and some of the bad people find that the food is arrived, and then they steal the food, and then they killed all the children and adults in this village. Okay, so it's a sad ending, it's a bad ending. The intended consequence of donating the money to the children was good, but the exact consequences are bad because all the people in this village were killed. So Kant's theory is not saying that we should look at the intended consequence in order to make a moral evaluations. Kant is claiming that the intended or the exact consequence, moral worth, is probably assessed by looking at their motivations. Motivations. Okay. Motivations, which may be selfish even if the intended consequences are good. So Kant's theory looking at the motivations more than the other things. In our previous examples, Kant say that to do the good things because of our goodwill, because it's our duty to do the things. And Kant claim that if one of my intentions is to make myself happy, okay, that my action is not worthy. So it forbids the happiness. We need to ban our happiness. In fact, the consequence of making myself happy is a good consequence, even according to Kant. So Kant clearly thinks that people being happy is a good thing. There is nothing wrong with doing something with an intended consequence of making yourself happy. That's not selfish. For example, I love playing video games and playing video games make me happy. So this is the consequence, right? So I playing TV game is not only about myself enough. I want to make myself happy, and then there is nothing wrong with this kind of things. You can get morally worthy doing something that you enjoy, but the reason you are doing them cannot be that you are enjoying them. The reasons must be that you are required by the duty. So again, the duty. For those, for example, buying ice cream cone or you playing the TV games, so something is about your own and is not the case to consider in Kant's theory. Kant's theory thinks that you ought to do something that makes yourself happy as long as you make sure that they are not immoral, okay? So that means that I can do something that I want to do and I enjoy to do, but somehow it's not considered in Kant's theory. So getting ice cream, playing video games is not immoral, so you can go ahead and do it. But somehow doing it, it will not make you a morally worthy person. That means the something that is not moral doesn't mean that it is immoral. So there are some actions that is in between moral and immoral. It is neutral and then it doesn't hurt the other people, so I can still do it. That means buying ice cream or playing TV games, it won't make you into a bad person. So many actions they will say that is not request by the duty is just neutral in this way. And according to Kant's theory, a good person should always do their duty. Okay, because they think it's their duty. Nothing about happiness, nothing about their personal interest. It's fine if they enjoy doing it. Okay, so if you find doing your duty, you enjoy and then you love it, that's fine. Okay, but you cannot claim that I love to do it, so I just do it. You should claim that it's our duty and then you do it. It's your goodwill. And it must be done if even you did not enjoy it. Okay, you must to do it even if you do not enjoy it. Okay, so the core of the Kant sphere is all the things about duty. Okay, nothing else. Of course, if Kant's theory only focus on those about yourself, then it's similar to ethical equalism. So Kant's theory want to extend to another way and then let all the peoples to do it. So they have the first formulations. Critical imperative. A little bit similar to ad utilitarianism. I'm sorry. A little bit similar to the rules utilitarianism. So you need to form a moral rules first. Okay, you need to form the moral rules first, and then it lets all the peoples can be followed. Okay, it forms a universal moral rules and let everyone add as I propose to add. Okay, so you try to generalize the rules and then let the other peoples to follow your rules and then add the same according to your moral rules. So the formulations of first formulations can be found here. So at the very beginning, I need to define an action X. Okay, so I do the action X and then I change it from I to everyone. So everyone does the action X. And then if everyone does the action X, the world will change. Okay, the world will change. So according to Kant's theory, it will be more if I can pass two tests. One is conception test and other is will test. The conception test is here. So if everyone does the action X, the world will change. So am I fine with the change that the world, everyone does the action X? Okay. If you are fine with that, okay, then you will pass the conception test. Okay, then you pass the conception test. So what if I agree with the change, but somehow it hurts the other? So somehow we have another test called will test. Will test. Okay, so it's testing whether it's has the contradiction to the law of nature. So for example, if you hurt the other people's life or if you have hurt the other people's happiness, so we care about the core values, right? So it contradicts to the law of nature. So you need to pass both conception test and also will test so that your action X is moral according to the first formulations of Kant's theory. So if you are familiar with the previous example or previous model, so we will add more component into the first formulations. So we have beside the X, now we have the condition Y, okay, under a certain conditions. So now I do the action X under the certain condition Y. So we also define the moral rules. Okay, we also define the moral rules, and suppose these moral rules can be generalized. Okay. And all the peoples, everyone can do it. They can does the action X. Then we use our common knowledge to think and emergence the situations. The world will be changed, okay? And then there are some consequence effect, okay? So the world is changing because everyone is doing the same actions. And then there are lots of different kinds of consequence is that. Of course, during this kind of thinking process, so you think an emergence, so definitely you will change your condition Y, or you will have some case to explain your variables. Okay, so it cannot be generalized in all the conditions in all the case. So you have some special condition for it. Okay, so if this X, Y, Z can be fully defined, and then again you need to pass the conception test and also the real test. Okay, so if your new model rule doesn't contradict with the conception test and also the real test, that means it's morally correct. Okay, and then you can do it. If there is any contradictions, then it's morally wrong. So this is the first formulations of Kant's theory. So the step of using the first formulations of Kant's rule is you first define a sentence, so this one is the rules that you can maximize the situation. So suppose that I do action X under certain condition Y, and I generate the certain consequence Z. Okay, consequence Z. So I suppose that this one can be generalized, and then let everyone to do it. Okay, and definitely you need to make some assumption. That means the period social verb PR stop here. PR stop. So definitely when your new law is happening, so you need to make some assumption, or you need to make some case to explain your situation. So suppose that everyone's knows, so everyone is following the new law, and then no one is breaking the new law, etc. Okay, then you run the conceptual and also the real test. Okay, so are you happy with the situations? And then it's contradict to our human rights to care about our life and also care about our properties, care about our happiness, etc. So if you pass conceptual test and also the real test, that means it's morally correct. Okay, and then you can make your moral decisions. So this is how we can use the first formulations of Kant's theory to evaluate our moral statements, or evaluate our action is correct or not. So one of the example how we can use the first formulations of Kant's theory. So I want to do the action that I make the promise and then break it. Okay, and then later breaking my promise. That means breaking the promise. Okay, so the action X is break the promise. Okay, so I try to generalize the Kant's theory in the first formulations, that from I to everyone. Okay, everyone make the promise and then break the promise. Of course, in this case, you can make your assumption or make your PSW, but definitely if everyone is break the promise, then it makes the promise unbelievable. Okay, that means no one will use the promise and then agree to word, and then they have the contract, etc. So it contradicts to my conceptual test, because it's not my reading. The world is changed, but it's not my ideal world. Okay, so it contradicts about my conceptual test. So the answer is no. Okay, so it cannot pass the first formulations of Kant's theory. So let us repeat again. So now I will have the action X. So action X is here. So yeah, I will make the promise and then breaking law. Okay, and then the consequence is he still can get the things that he needs. Okay, he can get what he needs. Okay, according to EZ. So the assumption, or we first generalize our first formulations to everyone first. Okay, everyone, and then make our assumptions that everyone may make and break the promise. And finally, the promise becomes unbelievable. Okay, and then it cannot pass the conceptual test. So the answer is no, it cannot be done. okay, or this action X cannot be performed according to first formulations of Kant's theory. So beside the first formulation, the Kant's theory also had the second formulations. Compared with the first formulation, the second one is easier to use. Okay, it's easier to use because it's easier to ban your actions. You say it's not this immoral and then you should not do it. Okay, so the second formulation is like that. Act so that you cheat both yourself and other people ends in themselves and never own as a means to an end. It's quite difficult to understand what is talking about, right? So the easiest way to understand is, does my action respect the goals of the human beings rather than merely using them for my own purpose? Okay, so we need to ask for the whole human being instead of our own beings. Okay. Or in other words, so this one is more easier to understand. So this one is yourself. Okay, so you are going to achieve your personal goals. Okay, so it's your personal goal, you want to achieve it, but you are using the other people's. Okay, you are using the other people's. Okay, so if your action X achieving your personal goal is using the other people's as a mean, okay, so that means you are not ethical. Okay, you are not ethical according to the second formulations of Kant's theory. Okay, so here we're looking at different example. So this is one of the situations. So suppose there is a single mother, Kara. Okay, he's a single mother. He worked really hard for his job and then to pay for her daughter. Okay, but because she want to improve his living conditions, so he take 2 evening course. Okay, yeah. He take 2 evening course per semester. So you can imagine the life of Kara. He is very, very hard. So at the daytime he need to work, and then for the evening, for every week he need to spend at least 2 days for the evening course. So this is her last semester. Okay, so he will graduate after this semester. He is studying European history, and then her professor is really hard. He asked for 4 lengthy report. Okay, he asked for 4 lengthy report. At the very beginning, she can get A in the first 3 report, but unfortunately, so for the last assignment, he need to work overtime. Okay, he need to work overtime, and she did not have enough time to do the research. Okay, she's not going to copy from the other people because he found that maybe her classmate is not good enough. She want to buy the assignment, so she find a website and then which can sell the term paper. Okay, in fact, it's really common in the United States or in the UK. So she purchased a report from the company and then submit. So I would like to ask, was this action small or not? So if we use the first formulations, right? So suppose that now she want to pass the course, okay? Graduate and then have a good living standard after her graduation. So this one is that, right? C. And then he buy a report and submit her own work. So this one is X. And of course, you can add lots of conditions about the Y, but in this case, we try to engage about the conditions. So according to the first theory, we want to change this one, I to everyone. So now everyone can buy the report, submit to their own work, and then everyone's know that everyone is buying the report. The professor also know is happening. And then the world is changing because everyone buy the reports, everyone do not using their own ability to finish their own work. So the assignment, written assignment, cannot be trusted, okay? Cannot be trusted. So therefore, the professor, he or she will use another method to assess the the student standard. So maybe tests, maybe oral exam or oral defense, etc. So now the world is changed. So we can use different tests to test it, right? So we have the conceptual test and also we have the real test. So for the conceptual test, Kara wants to pass the course and improve her living. But if all the people do the same things, the world is changing, your degree and then your assignments and also your degree cannot be trusted. Okay, so finally you get the certification from this university or this school, but somehow no one trusts your cert. Okay, so it turns out a problem. You cannot improve your living standard after your graduation. So you are wasting your money, so you are wasting your time, and then you cannot get the things that you want. So by the conceptual test, this one cannot be passed. Okay, so this one is wrong. Okay, this one is wrong. So you can also use the second formulation to prove this one is right or wrong. Okay, so you are Kara, and then your aunt is going to get a pass, and then you can graduate, and then you can improve your living conditions. Okay, but somehow you are using the professor. Okay, you are using the trust of the professor examine. So you are using the other people's examine, and this is not morally worthy. Okay, so you should not do it according to the second formulations of the Kant's theory. So there are lots of people support the Kant's theory because it just used your imagination, it just used your thinkings, right? So lots of the theory can be proved whether you can do it or not by using your self-justifications. So it's a verbal process, and then it's a logical process, and then it saves lots of the resources. Because compared with the utilitarianism, so you need to define the formula, and then you need to put lots of the weighting into this kind of formula. It's hard to do it. But for the Kant's theory, the only thing is you think, you emergence, and then think if there is any contradiction, you just reject and say it's immoral, and then you cannot do it. It's easy to do it. And of course, there are someone against the Kant's theory. The reason is it's really hard to define the actions, X and also Y. Okay, conditions and also the actions. For example, I steal the food because I want to save my children. So how can you characterize this action X and Y? One is bad, but the conditions is good. Okay, you want to save someone, especially this is your children. And we can always find the conflicts between the rules. Okay, so for example, your Kant's theory, you only prove the action X. So how about you have the action X, and then you have action X1, action X2, action X3, action X4, etc. So there is always a conflict between the rules. Okay, so we just use the example about the your friend is driving a car and then he is killing someone. Okay, so will you support your friends or support the truth? So there is always a conflict. And then for the duty, there is some perfect duty about our human life, about our trust, about our core value. And there are lots of the things about the imperfect duty. So should I support my fans in what is the certain degree to support my fan, etc. Okay. So if there is a conflict between two rules, okay, or a conflict between two perfect duty. For example, you need to save your mother and your girlfriend at the same time. Okay, I don't know why they are jumping, and then they are suffering in the sea. So what should you have? Okay, you should have your mother first, or you should have your girlfriend first, right? So if there is conflicts in the Kant's theory, we do not have any solutions in Kant's theory to solve this kind of conflicts. So it creates some problem when we are using the Kant's theory. Okay. And the Kant's theory haven't defined what is the perfect duty. So it creates another problem. It's the perfect duty. We can use the divine command theory to define that is all the things from the God is the good will. So Kant's theory only say that we have the duty to do the good things, but he haven't defined anything about the duty. It creates another problems. And we always say that Kant's theory is not perfect. So we can use one simple example to explain why the Kant theory is not perfect. So Kant's view, lying is always wrong. Okay, so using his model is easy to understand. For example, I lie to other ones, so if everyone's lie to other one, so this world cannot so this world is changing, so we cannot trust with each other. So it's not it's not the world that I want to see. So you prove that life is wrong and we should not lie. Okay. But sometimes we lie to the other because we want to save the other, or we want to do something to have maximum our long-term goals. Okay, so somehow we can define some. We are allowed to lie by defining some conditions. Why? Okay, by defining some condition why. Okay. But when we put lots of different conditions into Kant's theory, it makes the first formulation become really complicated and cannot be applied to our daily life. So if you find something is really complicated and then you cannot think or you cannot emerge, okay, you need to have lots of the special case, and then you need to have lots of the conditions to bound your actions. Okay, so I would say that Kant's theory, please do not. I would say that please do not use the Kant's theory, and then use the other. For example, use the radiusm. Okay, because the radius you don't just count for the people who can be benefited or who can feel happy according to your actions, and then forget about Kant's theory. Okay.